The popularity of elderberry has exploded in recent years. It has a long history of being revered by herbalists as an herb that supports respiratory infections like colds, sinus infections, and many different strains of influenzas. Clinical research and trials has caught up with what our ancestors knew about elder, that it shortens the duration and the severity of an infection. It's comparable, if not more effective in some cases than pharmaceutical antivirals, but without the side effects. Who wouldn't want that? This likely explains elder's explosion in popularity and why you see elder products everywhere. It strengthens our natural defenses and encourages the body to release what is foreign. Our spirit knows what is for us and what is not. Elder, as its name suggests, invites us to listen to our inner wisdom and obey its urges. Elderberry is an immunomodulator for allergic responses, which is why we include it in our allergy relief tincture, and it regulates the inflammation response because it releases anti-inflammatory cytokines. It's antiviral, antioxidant rich, and in addition to helping with influenzas, it can shorten the duration of a herpes breakout. The elderberry is also helpful for neuralgia and rheumatic pains. Elder flower is also antiviral and anti-inflammatory, and it's anticatarrhal, reducing mucus production, particularly in the respiratory and urinary tracts. It's an excellent fever reducer when consumed as a hot infusion. It has a cooling effect, encourages perspiration, so your body temperature comes down. It's diaphoretic and febrifuge. It's expectorant, alterative, a relaxing nervine, and mild laxative, which I'll say more about as we continue. And it also contains hepatoprotective or liver protective compounds. The flowers and berries are also diuretic with a high potassium to sodium ratio. When you take drug diuretics, typically your potassium levels decrease, which is why your doctor may suggest you take a potassium supplement. Too little potassium can lead to fatigue, constipation, heart palpitations, muscle weakness, and spasm. Many of our herbal diuretics contain potassium. So you're getting potassium you need, you're getting the potassium you need while the herbs encourage the kidneys to release more sodium, thus removing water from your body. Nature knows. Elder combines well with yarrow, rose hips, the mints, clove, ginger, and cardamom. Here are 4 fun facts about elder that you probably don't know. Number 1, though used less commonly now, the leaves, bark, and root have all been used as medicine, but can have undesirable effects when not prepared properly to degrade the cyanogenic glycosides. Some claim that they're poisonous, but they're not. They're emetic and purgative, so they encourage elimination when ingested fresh and potentially in higher amounts, and in doing so you may experience nausea, vomiting, weakness, and diarrhea. I know how that sounds, but that doesn't make them harmful, which is what labeling them as toxic or poisonous can imply. I think it's really valuable to know what herbal medicine you have available to you when you need to get whatever's in out. With that said, because you, listener, don't know how to prepare these parts properly, and I'm not teaching that in this video, don't ingest the leaves, the bark, or the root, because it's not as simple as saying, if you make it this way, it's fine. The preparation and the dosage is just more nuanced than that. But you can prepare elder leaf and bark as an infused oil, salve, or liniment for topical muscular pellets, musculoskeletal pain, injuries, and inflammation. Check out our herbal first aid video to learn how to make your own infused oil and salve. Elder leaf and bark would be a really great addition to your first aid formula. Number 2, while it's the berries that are more common in practice now, the flowers were traditionally used. The flowers can be added to your skin and body care blends like serums, salves, toners, lotions, and creams to protect the skin from UV damage and oxidation. It's not a sunscreen though, so don't lay out in the sun talking about that herbalist on YouTube said elderflower is a sunscreen. No, I didn't. Don't do that because you can use it though with your sunscreen to protect your skin from the damage that sun exposure causes because we don't have an ozone, climate change is real. Elderflowers can also be used as an eye wash for conjunctivitis, tissue damage, and dry eyes. For this, you would make it as an infusion, let it cool down, obviously. Then I like to use a shot glass to rinse the eye out, or you can also use a dropper, or you can lay a clean cloth over your eye and use it as a compress. Lastly, elderflowers can be added to your anti-diabetic formulas to modulate blood sugars. It wouldn't be the primary herb, but it would be supportive. Be sure to check with your practitioner, though, if you are taking diabetes medication. And then number 3, elderberries are safest For most people when they're heated. So someone reached out in the DMs because they have a juicing business and they heard of elderberry and were thinking about incorporating it into a juice blend. And they wanted it fresh. So I'm really glad she reached out, because had she just started juicing it, she may have had some very unhappy customers due to the quantity she was likely going to incorporate into her juice blend. The berries, which hold the seeds, also contain cyanogenic glycosides, the compound that folks warn as toxic. All of the plant parts contain this constituent in varying degrees, and honestly, people respond to it in very different ways. Some can tolerate eating the fresh berries, others can't, so it's safest to heat the berries before consuming. Heat degrades this constituent, but I've read literature that says heat for 3 minutes up to 30. Two of the 3 ways that I've prepared my elder are: 1, by bringing it to a boil and simmering covered for 45 minutes, or 2, pouring fresh boiled hot water over the berries and letting it steep overnight. This is how I make our weekly infusions. The third method I'll explain later, and as you get to know elder, ultimately you'll discover how you respond to it. And number 4, it grows prolifically and can be propagated very easily by cutting. Seriously, our elder tree is 4 years old. We planted two trees from cuttings, and do you see this? Because we purchase elderberry in large quantities for our best-selling immunity syrup, we literally watch the price gouging that happens every year as fall and winter approach. Do yourself a favor and grow your own, seriously. While we're not growing enough for our business and don't have licensing for that, we still have dried elderberry from last year's harvest. I harvested so much this year already, and we gave a lot away. So what you see on the trees right now is what we've left for the birds and the bees. The birds and the bees, the birds and the bugs. So now that you've learned so much about the elder plant, I really hope that you can clearly see its benefits for your family, for yourself, it's safe for children, and you can see the benefit of potentially growing it your own. I know lots of folks love elderberry syrup. I love elderberry syrup too, but I actually love elderberry tincture a little bit more because it's convenient. We are out of our home stash, so up next I'm going to prepare an elder tincture 2 ways because I want to experiment. I'm going to make a dried elderberry tincture and a fresh elderberry tincture. I have never, in full transparency, heated my elder tincture, and I've never experienced any of the nausea, vomiting, or the sort of digestive upset that we were talking about. So my question is for you: if you know the answer and have the research to support it, does alcohol also degrade cyanogenic glycosides? Let us know so we can all learn. So this is about half of our harvest of this year alone. And I heard a tip that freezing the elder fresh makes it easier to get the berries off. So I pulled some out of the freezer, and now I'm just gonna spend some time, get into a nice meditative state, getting berries off of the branch and putting them into the bowl so that we can make our fresh tincture. Ooh. This does come off easily. Yes, so when I do it fresh without freezing it, you usually get a lot of these little stems that come out. And the same when I've also tried to dry this whole part without taking the berries off, and all of these little parts end up coming off too. Freezing is the way to go. So that was super quick. We didn't show all the footage, but the freezing was amazing. It was super quick to get the berries off of the branch. And now, like I said, I'm gonna make two different kinds of tinctures. I'm gonna make a fresh elderberry tincture, and I'm also going to make a dried elderberry tincture. So this is our harvest just from last year. The other harvest that we have from this year, half of it, it's still like on the drying rack. So this is all from last year. Plant your own tree. And so now I'm gonna start with the fresh elder tincture, and I'm just gonna put all of these berries into my sterilized jar. I use the oven when I'm at home. I use the oven on its lowest setting to sterilize the jar and cap. And for a fresh tincture, generally, we're doing folk method here. Generally, you fill it either halfway or all of the way with herb. Folk method is easy, but it's not as precise. And lots of people make their folk method tinctures with different methods. But overall, it's because the herb already has water content. you need more herb to alcohol. So I got all of these off of the branch. So I'm going to put them all in the jar. And then top it off with vodka. You can use vodka, you can use rum, you can use brandy. If you use a higher proof alcohol like Everclear, you're gonna wanna lower the percentage. So mix it with water. For tinctures that we make for the business or for clients, we always use the weight to volume method because that's more precise. But at home, folk method all the way. Boop. So you see, it's nearly full. This is good enough for me. Here's my vodka. I hope we have enough. Boom. This is gonna be so beautiful. If I was a painter, this would be a great paint. Although I don't know how you make paint, but the color is gonna be amazing. Shake it, I'm gonna label it, then put it in the pantry, and it's gonna sit for at least 6 weeks, but likely longer because I'm gonna forget. Now let's switch our jars. For folk method dry herb tincture, I'm gonna fill it up 1/4 of the way with dried berries. And I'm just gonna eyeball it. A little bit more. Good. That looks great. And now I'm going to top this off with brandy. Boom. Do you see how little? I just want you all to take note of how little dried elderberry I used here. And again, think about how much you can save when you make your own medicine. So that's it. I'm gonna add labels. I won't do it right now because they're off screen, but I'm gonna add labels, put them in the pantry, shake them every day for the next 6 weeks, and strain whenever we're ready to use them. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe.